This is Grow Omaha Uncut, where you can watch our radio show, including what goes on in the commercial breaks. And be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. Well, good morning and welcome to the Grow Omaha show on News Radio 1110 KFAB. We are brought to you by D&M Roofing and NAI NP Dodge Commercial Real Estate Company. This is the only show devoted to the growth and development of your favorite city. My name is Jeff Beals, and without any further ado, it's time to bring on my co-host, a man who is quite legendary at making real estate deals, Trenton Magid.
Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, everyone.
Well, good morning to you too, sir. It is going to be a great show today. In a little while, we're going to bring on Mike Evans, the mayor of Gretna, the exploding, fast-growing, booming city of Gretna. But before we get to that, Trenton, we have our news of the week, which is brought to you by Eagle Mortgage, EagleMortgageCompany.com. If you are thinking about buying a house, you want to talk to Eagle Mortgage, get your pre-approval letter ready. They do all kinds of loans, including VA, FHA, and of course, conventional loans. Their mortgage brokers really work with people to kind of figure out what their needs are, kind of explain the process to you and make you feel good about what is a big deal, you know, when you're buying a new house and all that. So talk to Eagle Mortgage. If you're thinking about getting a house here this year, you'll be glad you did. You can find them in person at Eagle Mortgage, or you can find them in person at 114th and Davenport, or online at EagleMortgageCompany.com. All right, Trenton, let's get into the news. A couple things to get started with. Number one, the City Council this week gave a preliminary plat approval to a $44 million, 195-unit apartment building mixed-use commercial project at Saddle Creek and Pacific. In addition to all those apartments, there would be a coffee shop, maybe a bank or a credit union, something along the lines of that. You and I have talked about this project before. Not only will this brighten up what is a pretty tired-looking stretch of Saddle Creek, but it's one of the signs of what's to come in Midtown when all the Med Center stuff just continues to go crazy in the coming years.
Yeah, absolutely. CIP development out of Lincoln. They own a lot of apartments in Omaha and Lincoln already and other places, and they're certainly capable. And some of the neighbors weren't as excited as they were, obviously. And there's some swaths of land, almost rustic, that some of the neighbors have chickens and things like that, and they're going to be viewing some pretty tall apartment complexes. But the planning department, planning board, and the city, we need to grow our city, and this is part of those growing pains.
You know, change is always hard, but I would think that if I were one of the neighbors, I would rather look at a really nice new development than what's there currently. It's I mean, not to be offensive, but it's an eyesore there right now. And so I think this will be a nice move. But, anytime you have change coming to a place where people call home, it's hard for people. And so I imagine that's one of the reasons why you get opposition to a lot of these projects, even, amazing, positive projects.
Well, we've as we've talked about the show for almost 2 decades, it's important to build up instead of out. And what it does, it's less taxing on our infrastructure, our schools. It replenishes the school districts and the area's amenities and fire rescue and all that kind of stuff. So it's a positive thing.
Well, we have some new retail data. Every once in a while we like to share our national real estate news that comes to us courtesy of CoStar. CoStar is a real estate data and information company that sends us a lot of news. And U.S. retail sales in 2022 doesn't look like they're going to keep pace with last year as the inflation and also the Ukraine war and all of the gas and fuel situations start to cloud the outlook. That's according to the National Retail Federation.
That includes online?
Yeah. But even just looking at the bricks and mortar stuff, the annual forecast predicting sales will rise 6 to 8% this year between $4.86 trillion and $4.95 trillion, but the 2022 estimate compares with last year's 14% increase. So 6 to 8% increase this year projected instead of 14% sales increase in retail last year. So inflation will take it'll take a bite out of the progress, but I don't think that's a surprise to a lot of people.
Not at all.
All right. The city of Omaha has chosen HDR for the design of both the new downtown branch of the Omaha Public Library, as well as the future administrative circulation distribution center that will be inside the former Shopko store near 84th and Frederick. It's about a $500,000 contract. And of course, as we have well documented, the new downtown branch is going to 1401 Jones so that the W. Dale Clark structure can be demolished to make way for skyscrapers. So we're making progress there. Hey, this is kind of cool. We've got some hotel news. The Sheraton Omaha Hotel closed.
Up on the hill at the old mill.
Yeah, way up on that hill, 6-story hotel. Been there for a long, long time. They closed during the pandemic. That is now going to be the Wyndham Omaha Hotel, and the opening is planned for May 1st. It will have 221 rooms, 10,000 square feet of ballroom space. It's my understanding that the general floor plan is going to be very, very similar to what it was when it was a Sheraton, but they're doing a lot of renovation and a lot of cosmetic upgrades. So, the hotel market is coming back. Wyndham is a good, solid brand.
Can you tell us what it was originally before the Sheraton?
Holiday Inn, wasn't it?
I have no idea.
Oh, I was just guessing that. I was guessing that because it had like that big pool area, and back in those days, didn't Holiday Inn have the big pools? You have the Holidome or something. I don't know. Maybe
I was only allowed to use the pond.
Pool and pond would be good for you. Thank you for the Caddyshack reference. We appreciate that. We've got some news at 114th and Dodge, north of 114th and Dodge. The retail center on the west side has really perplexed a lot of people for a long time because it really has seemed to sit fallow. And then for quite a while, it seems like it's under renovation, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of progress. In fact, a lot of Grow Omaha listeners keep asking us about that. Well, we do have some progress to report there now. The retail center on the west side that once had a Bag and Save Foods, and before that was like a Cub Foods.
Yep.
There is a Nebraska Medicine UNMC facility going in there. The site plan, the floor plan says Hub Pharmacy, Nebraska Medicine Hub Pharmacy. But when I poked my head in there, it looked like it was more than just a pharmacy. So I suspect maybe some sort of clinical thing. And then
I think what they do is they distribute to the different UNMC hospitals and clinics and things like that. They
from there
compounding, probably put drugs together and stuff like that for prescriptions.
That would make sense. Okay, so maybe it's going to be that. And then in front of it, there's a construction site on a pad site. This pad site is right north of the dead Boston Market. That is going to be a FedEx retail store. And so people will be very happy to see that there's finally some momentum. It's a great corner.
What's happened to our old offices, the old World Group headquarters, where Jeff and I were for so long?
Yeah. We had our office for about, 10 years in that 10,000 square foot, one-story building right there on the corner. I don't know. It looks to me like there's cars in front of it, so I think it's being used as office space.
We still have the Exarban safe that I bought at auction before they tore down Exarban, and then they told me they had to move it, and it's 4,000 pounds. There was one company that would move it, and we had to take the doors off to get it in. But other than that, we don't have a lot to do with that building.
So your safe is still in there, though?
It's safe.
Okay. Do you own it, or did it go with the building when we
Technically,
sold it?
I own it, and I do have the combination.
So if you're an occupant of that building and you need it in the safe, call Trenton. Okay, we have two stories we have a story about two companies from out of town that have chosen Omaha for significant operations. The first one is Smart Lift. It's a company based in the country of Denmark, and they use robots to install glass, so glass panes for windows at construction sites or what have you. They have chosen Omaha for their U.S. headquarters. And the office is open. It is operating at 8929 J Street. So there's a Danish company in Omaha. The other one is...
I heard that deal was a real pain.
The other one is Unison, a San Francisco-based fintech company, has opened its second ever office in Omaha at 13th and Farnham inside the Landmark building. This is a fintech company, and they eventually plan to have 100 employees in Omaha. So that's cool. The story here, though, Trenton, is that these big national and international companies, they are more and more seeing Omaha as a great place for a base of U.S. or North American operations.
We'll take it, and Omaha's got a great workforce. We're very proud, and low unemployment, but we do good work, and that things like this just put us on the international map.
That's true. And while it may be a little more challenging to find employees here than some places, the ones you get tend to perform better than those in a lot of other cities. So, yeah, I'm with you right there. Great news and a really good sign for the future. Well, that's it for the news of the week, brought to you by Eagle Mortgage, eaglemortgagecompany.com. Going to take the first break of the hour, and when we come back, we have Mike Evans. He is the mayor of fast-growing Gretna, Nebraska. You don't want to miss this. There's a lot to talk about with the mayor. So stay with us. You're listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by D&M Roofing and NAI NP Dodge on News Radio 1110 KFAB. Okay, so 10. Let's go call it 10:30.
This will be a very short uncut because we don't have commercials, because we are recording the show on Thursday morning, ladies and gentlemen. I know it sounds live or we're listening to it. It's just as fresh as can be, but this information is at least 2 days old.
That's a good point. Normally we are live. We probably only record about, one every 10 shows?
Yeah.
One out every
and
10.
normally we shower every morning.
I showered.
I showered.
I really did shower.
No, I showered.
I did an air quote shower. I showered. No wonder the mayor's like kind of sitting there.
Yeah. He said it was social distancing.
Yeah.
You just took a bird bath then. You know what I'm saying?
It was actually an airplane bath, just the windshield and the engine.
All right, on that note, are we ready to get started?
Yep.
All right, segment 2 coming right up. And welcome back to the show. Jeff Beals sitting next to Trenton Magid from NAI NP Dodge Commercial Real Estate Company. We're also brought to you by D&M Roofing. That is the best roofing contractor in the metro area. In fact, for those of you who own commercial buildings or make decisions for commercial buildings, you're going to want to talk to D&M Roofing. They have a one-of-a-kind preventative maintenance program that has proven to save commercial building owners tons of money on roofing costs. You know, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And so if you want to take advantage of that old saying, call D&M Roofing. And instead of giving you a phone number, it's easier just to remember the website, dandmroofing.com.
They did my house in 2 days, in and out, and it's been perfect for the last few years. Not one issue at all, thanks to Eric and the folks over there. But I also use them with all my commercial clients and properties. And they do some great preventative maintenance. They don't charge for it either to come and do an analysis for your property.
Yep, and it looks nice too. Well, with that, let's bring on the mayor of Gretna. His name is Mike Evans. And Mike, it's a pleasure to have you. Welcome.
No, great. It's always been with you guys. And more importantly, I always enjoy talking about all things Gretna. So I'm super excited.
Well, lately you have had a lot to talk about when it comes to all things Gretna.
It really has been. It's the growth of the metro area has finally kind of reached our borders. And you mentioned that change is hard, but it's part of being part of the metro and, seeing the growth. But it's all really positive and just super excited about what's coming.
Well, you're one of the fastest growing, if not the fastest growing municipality in the state in recent years. And that's exciting, but I imagine there are probably some challenges that come just trying to keep up with it.
Yeah, Trent and I were talking a little bit beforehand. I think our city limits were almost 3 square miles before the annexation, and now our city limits are 7 square miles, and our planning jurisdiction went almost to 39 square miles. So with that comes a lot of responsibility, and you have to build out your organization and infrastructure. So while growth is good, you have to do it responsibly.
How much? So the Nebraska Crossing Outlet Mall, it's what, 10, 11 years old about now? Mm-hmm. And give us an idea of what a game changer the outlet mall opening, or actually the new outlet mall opening, did for Gretna.
No, yeah, Rod's been fantastic. There's very few operators that, can probably pull off what he did, because he took a kind of a existing, property that just wasn't performing. It's right off the interstate, so it had so much opportunity. But he brought it to life, and not only has it provided some great, it provides jobs, it provides sales tax revenue for the community, but also provides the state a lot of revenue, and it's a tourism. I think Rod mentioned that 30% of his volume is from outside the state, which, we have so much traffic going on 80. It's great being able to get people off the interstate, spend money in the state of Nebraska, and then that just contributes and dominoes through the whole area.
Well, when we think about Nebraska Crossing, Mike, there's a pretty good area of undeveloped land between it and the contiguously developed part of Gretna. And I understand that you and other leaders in the city have big plans for those acres there.
Yeah, we're super excited about that. When I kind of jumped in the chair as the mayor just over a year ago, just realizing all the growth that was coming and the interest and activity, we realized, we have to kind of define our community before the development comes and kind of defines us. And so what type of community did we want to have? And once we have a park, a $60 million park that we're putting in just to the south edge of our community with rec center, dog parks, Frisbee, aquatic center, and super excited about that. We thought, well, maybe that's our northern bookend, and we need to connect it with the outlet mall and that interchange and create great space to live, corridors, walkability, connectivity, and just places to gather. That I think it's going to be a super neat master plan that as we roll it out, goes to Planning Commission here in a couple weeks, and then we'll get to the City Council. Once that's all approved, everything will become more public, and we're super excited about the opportunity.
What kind of things did you address? What type of uses and planning goes into that?
So you really have to, once again, as Gretna grows, we have to have balance. You just can't have, we were kind of known for our acreages and it's kind of our big lots. Well, you have to diversify, not only to have younger families be able to afford to live out there, but also create workforce. So we just really try to balance the type of products that we have as far as living, and then also with that density comes opportunity for different office space, corporate users, or even just shops and that support all those neighborhoods.
Try to keep people there during the day and not just a bedroom community that people talk about.
Right. We want to, and we've also mentioned, we have one of our biggest talents in our state that we seem to export is our children. We give them great values and we teach them, with a great education, and then they go find jobs, across the country. And everybody loves our kids because they work so hard and they do such a great job. We thought, why can't we define, our community to be a great place to live? Instead of these kids having to go find things, create amenities here that really attracts them. So I think this is going to connect with them, and we're just super excited about it.
And so the park will open in 23?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. And the construction has already started?
Yes, it started, and luckily with a nice winter, we really were able to keep the gas pedal down, and so I think they're running a little bit ahead of schedule. Initially, it was going to be the fall. Hopefully, we get that, closer to the summertime, get those pools open. But yep, 23 for sure.
Give us an idea of the scope and the size of the park.
So the park is 150 square acres, I believe, and there's 4 softball fields, 4 baseball, soccer fields, amphitheater. So there's a lot of green space. It's just not a rec center. It's just we want it to be a space that people can go and enjoy. There's a fishing pond there. So it's meant to be a community park. The YMCA is going to manage the rec center as we get started. So if you're a Y member, you also have access to that rec center.
Another part of Gretna where we're seeing a lot of development is going to fill in a lot of empty space is that 180th and Giles area. It was always a really awkward setup with 180th Giles and the Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad tracks that ran through there. I've driven through there a couple times since part of that has been open. The Giles west of 180th is still under development, but I would imagine that area is just going to fill up with houses fast when those roads are done, within the next year. Right,
and the county did a great job of leading that project, and it was so important because the railroad kind of blocked that corridor from Omaha into Sarpy County, and so everything was going different directions to get south or north, and so that connectivity will open up that whole area, and it's going to be a super project. They'll look back in 10 years and go, well, why did this not get done a long time ago? Because it really will change that area.
Go ahead, Trenton.
There's been a lot of talk about Sarpy County and the sewer system and the long-term plans to install more sewer in order to, what do they call it, the watershed, where sewer, obviously water runs downhill and sewer runs downhill. What's going on in the Gretna part of that?
So the park is 150 square acres, I believe, and there's 4 softball fields, 4 baseball, soccer fields. So there's a lot of green space. It's just we wanted to be a space that people can go and enjoy. There's a fishing pond there. So We're just part of the sewer agency that's, really, it was visionary to kind of open up this part of the county. And as the metro grows, it's going to be needed. Essentially, it's starting mostly to the east side, and it's going to work its way toward the west. But, as opportunities develop, I think they're open to kind of working and going where the opportunities are.
And then also, construction is coming along really fast on the new Gretna High School. Trenton thinks they should be called the Gretna Snuffleupaguses, if you heard last week's show, but apparently it's going to be Griffins instead. But
I said that we could shorten it to the Snuffles,
the Snuffies.
Yeah.
But Mayor, that's a big step forward when it was a one high school town for all of its history, now becomes a two high school town.
Well, and that's so important that you mentioned that because, the change is hard. And when you start getting multiple schools and expanding your territory, we just really want to stay community. And my focus is really what can we do to intentionally create community, whether it's event or spaces. That's really one of my big focuses is keep our community identity. And so even while they may be the Griffins versus the Dragons, we're all still part of Gretna and all part of the same community.
Well, we are going to take our middle of the show break, but when we come back, we have more to ask the mayor of Gretna, Mike Evans. You're listening to Jeff and Trenton on Grow Omaha, brought to you by D&M Roofing and NAI NP Dodge on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
So we have the lake to talk about. What else?
I also, hold on a second here. Okay. Also, I want to throw out there like any talk that there might be about that interchange on the interstate, or is there any talk about Highway 631 is getting really crowded from Dodge Street all the way to I-80?
Yeah.
We might need to expand that thing pretty soon.
No, yeah, and you could bring that up.
Okay.
Just bring up, the traffic because we are doing what we call, and our city administrator initiated it, it's Western Sarpy transportation.
Okay.
And we're just looking at where all these roads are going, and so that's a huge problem. And so we've talked to NDOT about where we think might be some opportunities to kind of lessen this traffic. And same thing with that property just to the west of Rods, 6th to Ashland. If something develops there, we have to relocate that road, we think. So there's just a lot of big picture things that have to start happening now, because if we don't do it now, it's going to be so expensive to buy that land, and then you have to reroute traffic, which will be well overdone. So the transportation's a huge issue. The whole metro's growing, so that's the only corridor of the interstate right now.
I know it. I take it all the time, and I'm just amazed. Not that this has anything to do with Gretna, but I still just shake my head every time I go through the 204th and Center interchange. So they made Center go through freeway style underneath a bridge with no stop, and it's got like 2 cars an hour on it. Meanwhile, 204th Street, which carries like interstate style traffic, it's so busy and has 2 red lights there. I'm like, what? Someone wasn't thinking about how development would happen when they designed that.
In this corridor study, we have a transportation study with it that matches it. That says, here's how this part of the area should be built out.
Well, let me start, when we come back, let me start with that question. You were gone when we talked about this, Trent, and we wanted to ask about what are some of the new businesses that are opening in Gretna? So we'll give you a chance to do that. Then maybe you bring up the lake, and then I'll bring up transportation, and then we'll call it. Then that'll probably take up all our time.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, then we got the noddle thing when we come back right away. So are we ready?
Let's roll.
Ready? Okay. And welcome back to Grow Omaha, the area's only show devoted to the growth and development of your favorite city. We're brought to you by D&M Roofing and NAI NP Dodge. And without any further ado, it's time for the Commercial Real Estate Development Spotlight by Noddle Companies. Noddle Companies, of course, is an Omaha-based real estate development firm doing projects all over the country, but some of their biggest and best projects are right here in the metro area. Things like Exarban Village and the Builders District and medical campuses out by Village Point and many, many other projects. Well, Trenton, one of Noddle Company's big projects is Steel Ridge, and there are a couple of things we wanted to report about in the Steel Ridge area. First of all, construction has started on the H&H Shine Shop. Now, that's hard to say. It's kind of a tongue twister. Shine Shop. but it's on the northwest corner of 150th and Highway 370. It's going to be a high-speed exterior and interior car wash opening in 2023. And then on the south side of Highway 370, that area over there is also called Steel Ridge. And there, if you haven't been by there lately, the expansion of 88 Tactical is coming along really fast. It's 2 levels. They're adding on to the east side of the existing building. Concrete and steel beams are in place. You know, the sign out front says shooting lanes, fine dining, skating rink, and an outdoor rec area. I know you're a member at 88 Tactical there. It's a fun place, but it's really getting a lot bigger.
Yeah, they're going to have a year-round ice skating rink. It's some kind of a synthetic material, Jeff. Then they're talking about the state's largest sports bar as well. So membership has really gotten strong at 88 Tactical.
Well, and then in addition to that H&H Shine Shop, there are big buildings going up a little further north in Steel Ridge for H&H Chevrolet new dealership. And then, of course, you talked about the big Menards store that is slated for that area as well a few weeks ago. So exciting stuff out there at Steel Ridge.
Yeah, Nodal Development has done an amazing job of attracting the car dealerships, more retail. They've got some shopping centers, strip centers planned, and it's really a cohesive area.
And that is your commercial real estate development spotlight brought to you by Nodal Companies. If you want to learn more about Nodal Companies, just go to nodalcompanies.com. Well, we have the mayor of Gretna with us. His name is Mike Evans, a good friend of Grow Omaha's. And Mike, we were talking about so many Gretna development issues in the last segment, but I'd like to start now by asking you this. What are some of the new businesses that you expect to open in Gretna in the next few months or so?
Yeah, it was a super question because, for so many years, everybody that lived in Gretna would have to drive 20, 30 miles or minutes to dinner or to just to shop. So I think within the next 30 days, we have 7 or 8 businesses opening, and the AutoZone just opened. We have a Fairway. The Casey's is not far behind. The Good Life and Stories Coffee is going to open up. And this is all stuff just right in town. It's not, all across our area. It's literally right in town. And obviously, you've probably heard about the Hy-Vee that's coming maybe this fall. It's going to be a super project.
And
That's at 192nd, 370?
Yes.
Yeah, and it looks like construction is well underway on that.
For
Yeah,
sure.
The Fresh and Fast is already open.
Yeah, so it's going to be a great project. And then at the Outlet Mall, we have REI that's coming along. They've got their footings dug, and so that's going well. And eventually we have that Hillcrest. It's a $90 million two-phase project that will be just north of town that Mr. Krejci's got initiated with them.
Okay, that's on the west side of Highway 6 where that mansion was.
Yeah, the Rod Kush Mansion.
Where they did the fire and all that
Yep.
years ago. Everyone will always remember that. The video of it. Because didn't the fire department use it as a test or something like that?
It was a big test, I'm sure. It was a big property.
Yeah, so that'll be a nice addition to
Yeah, it really complements our young families because we have them moved to Gretna. Their families are in these other communities where maybe they left, whether it was Western Nebraska or a different town, and they still want to be with their family, and Gretna didn't have a lot of options. So this is a great way to kind of keep families together and service that market.
Oh, the other big news about Gretna is this huge lake, this 4,000-acre lake, 7 miles long. Is this a pipe dream, or do you see it coming to reality?
Well, they know the bill and the legislators, moving along pretty well. It's never been identified that it's a Gretna lake, right? It's somewhere between Lincoln and Omaha. We've all seen the pictures where it looks like it could be really close to Gretna, and we're just going to let that play out. It's a state initiative. It's not our initiative, but, we fully support it and excited if it comes.
Well, but like you said, it looks like it would be right by Gretna. The site plan that was released is exactly west of Gretna. I mean, we know we can look at Google Maps and see where it is. It would come right up to Interstate 80 as it comes down Melia Hill and starts to kind of go more south before eventually crossing the Platte River and then go north of there. If it happened, I would think that would be a monster impact on Gretna because it would be a big, huge amenity that might make a fast-growing city grow even a little faster.
Right, and that's, to be honest, that's some of this stuff we've been doing is really try to define our community before we get overwhelmed. So if we can define that and then it comes, it'll complement what we've built instead of getting defined by it. So we're ready for it, and we're working in case it happens, but we're fully supported.
Let's talk a little bit about transportation. two things in particular. Number one, the potential future Interstate 80 interchange at 192nd Street, which would be a little ways east of Nebraska Crossing. And then after we talk about that, I'm going to bring up a question I have about the Highway 6 corridor. But first, what's the latest on that proposed interchange? Because that would have a huge impact on Gretna.
Yeah, no, obviously it's a state project again, but we're coordinating with them, and it still seems like it's a 5 to 10 year, 5 to 7 year process, but everything's going ahead. There hasn't been any hiccups so far, so the state's doing a good job leading that. I think along with MAPA is the other one that's locally kind of really in charge of that project. But
do they feed you much information?
Yeah, sure. We have
the
people.
Nebraska Department of Transportation?
Yes, and both Papillion and Gretna sit pretty closely with that because it'll affect both of us.
Okay. The other thing I've noticed, and this is a good problem, the Highway 6, Highway 31 corridor, which is 204th Street further north and 216th Street as you get south of the main part of Gretna, it's getting busier and busier and busier. It's a great highway. It can handle more traffic, but we all know it's going to get busier and busier. Are there any preliminary conversations about what we might have to do to increase the capacity on that corridor?
Yeah, and not only 631, but 370 can be overwhelmed, with our traffic now too. And that is a problem, we've really started to look at, and we've, started to work with the Department of Roads, and I know they're looking at it very closely. And within this study, that this corridor study, we also started to find where are the other corridors, or the other patterns that we can kind of release some stress off these main two highways. And so we hired a administrator, Ms. Paula Dennison, out of Stillwater, Oklahoma, but she came in and provided some leadership in this area. And so with that, we're creating kind of a Western Sarpy transportation concept that will, include not just us, but other parts. So we don't get behind the eight ball, because once this is built out, it's going to be so much harder to do that. If we do it ahead and kind of provide some direction to the developers and transportation, I think it'll come along. But yeah, it's certainly a problem that we need to get on now instead of waiting.
Looking further out into the future, I think about that highway that the state is building across southern Sarpy County along the Platteview Road corridor.
Platteview Road Expressway?
Yeah. And I keep thinking, I think we need to take that thing and once you get out to Interstate 80, extend it north somehow or another west of Gretna, go all the way up to, like Waterloo and that area up there, because I just think that would be a nice way to bypass some of that, some of the traffic that's not going to local destinations in Papillion or in Gretna. Might be nice to go up that way.
No, and you see this in so many cities, whether it's even Des Moines or Kansas City, where they have that exterior ring that creates some of that traffic that doesn't congest your daily living. And so, once again, we don't want to get behind the eight ball. And so thinking 20 years ahead is probably a good thing to do now instead of waiting for this all to happen.
Mike, you were talking, when we were talking about the 192nd and I-80 interchange, you said, that also impacts Papillion too.
Correct.
And that brings up kind of one more question I want to throw at you. When I look at southwest Sarpy County, I see square mile after square mile after square mile that will likely be full of suburban development in the next 20 to 30 years. So I would presume that Gretna will go south and take part of that. Papillion might go south and take part of that. Of course, there's also Springfield not terribly far away. So how many square miles do you think Gretna might be someday?
We were talking about that before the show.
Well, and square miles, I'm not sure. I know there's, within the municipalities, they've all kind of have their agreement and their maps where we're kind of all working off the same playbook. But I know we've been said that, right now we were 5,000 a couple of years ago. Now we're 10. School districts, 30,000. And I think they expect Gretna to be between 50 and 60 when we kind of clear this out.
Yeah.
So it could be a pretty good sized community.
That's kind of what I would have guessed too. And it's, it's weird to think that Gretna someday will be 55, 60,000 people, but should happen. Yeah, should happen.
But more importantly, just keeping community and creating great spaces for people to live and possibly swim and boat at.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
That'd be awesome.
Well, Mayor, we appreciate you joining us. It's always great to talk with you, and kudos to you and your colleagues in Gretna for doing such a great job managing the growth. And it's going to be exciting. We'll talk to you every year because there's always going to be a lot to talk about with Gretna growth and development.
No, I love being on the show and hearing about, the whole metro is really developing neat. And so there's so many neat projects going on. It's great what you guys do, and I appreciate you guys allowing me that.
Thank you for your leadership in Gretna.
Appreciate it. That was Mike Evans, Mayor of Gretna. And when we come back, we'll have our lightning round. A lot of things on the docket to share with you. You're listening to Jeff and Trenton on Grow Omaha, brought to you by NAI, NP Dodge, and D&M Roofing. Back in a moment on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
Let's give him his cookies back. You don't have to stick around if you don't want to.
Okay. Well, great, guys. I really enjoy it.
That was great.
Thanks so much for coming.
Yeah.
And good luck to the ball.
Good interview. Yeah.
I'll be following the
thank you.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Seeing how it's going.
I love putting those pictures on there.
Yeah, I love it.
There you go.
Mike.
Oh,
You know your way out?
yeah, I do. You have to let me know if I pass security and all that.
Thanks for the information, yeah.
Yeah, I hope that was helpful.
It was.
I really appreciate
absolutely.
it.
Yeah, it'll be a good spot. Yeah, because people really follow in Gretna now.
Yeah,
because everyone knows there's a lot happening out there.
It used to be just out there, and now it's like we're actually part of it.
Yeah.
So
It was, for a long time, it was the small town you drove by on the interstate on the way west. Now it's a big suburb, and it's going to become a big city. Like you think about, if Bellevue's already, 65, 70,000 people?
Yeah.
Gretna's going to be right there.
Yeah.
it's so fast.
With your leadership.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
We have a plan.
You have your work cut out for you.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I
Yeah.
appreciate everything you guys do.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
We always enjoy having you on.
Camera.
So.
Okay.
Yeah, let's
See you later.
stay up there. I'm sure we'll probably see you out at one of Rod's functions. So.
Yeah.
I'm sure sooner than later, probably.
Okay. All righty. See you, Mike.
Good segment.
Yeah. Thanks for getting him. Yes. No.
Yes.
Okay. Good.
Yep.
Estamos listos.
See.
I'm Jeff. It's a damn minute. Okay, let's do this. And welcome back to the show. Jeff Beals and Trenton Magid sitting here, and we are very excited to bring you the Lightning Round. The Lightning Round is always brought to you by Turner Construction. Turner Construction, one of the world's biggest construction companies that here in Omaha oftentimes behaves like a small local contractor because they do build-outs, they do tenant improvements, they do small projects. Oh, by the way, though, if you do have a big project, they can handle that too. Have you ever heard of the Sarpy County Data Center Project? All sorts of buildings on multiple acres in Sarpy County. Well, they've done that project as well. And that's what originally brought them to Omaha. But once getting here, they decided Omaha's home. We're going to make a serious commitment to Omaha. So in addition to bringing you the lightning round, Turner Construction is really building up the environment right here, doing all sorts of things to help employees get involved in the construction trades. And we salute Turner Construction for supporting us and allowing us to bring what is going to be some very valuable cocktail trivia for your party tonight. Trenton, are you ready?
I am ready, Jeff.
Let's get started with this lightning round.
Are you
First of
ready,
all,
ladies and gentlemen?
we are ready. And the first thing we have for you is Rally House. Rally House is a sports specialty gift and home decor store. It is out of Kansas City, and they are opening in the former Dress Barn space at Shadow Lake Town Center in Papillion. This is a nice addition. They're a national. They have more than 100 locations. If you look at their map, obviously they have a lot of them right around Kansas City. Then they have a few that kind of shoot down to Texas. But then it's almost kind of like it's an inverted L because then they go over towards Chicago and the East Coast. So they're new here. I think this is their first Nebraska location. Nearest locations would be St. Joseph, Missouri, and Des Moines, Iowa. It's a nice catch for the market.
Yeah, and also Shadow Lake Town Center is really reinvigorating itself. They've got aggressive new leasing agents.
Do they down there?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Access commercial.
All right. Well, so Shadow Lake has some good news, and then One Pacific Place has some really good news. Remember Sur La Table?
Absolutely. We talked about that when they came in.
When they first came in, that's how long we've been on the radio. Well, they closed a while back, and if you're not familiar with is it Sur La Table or Sur La Table?
I think it's Sur La Table.
Okay. Or you could just say Sur La Table. I don't know. But
All right.
They sell culinary goods, kitchenware. It's kind of an upscale place. It's based in Seattle. They had an ownership change at the parent or at the national company in the headquarters. And it's my understanding that they decided to reopen some of the markets that had closed. And the Omaha store, from all indications, I think did well. Well, they're coming back. They've got a sign in the window that says coming soon. They are hiring for Sur La Table in Omaha, so it looks like they're going into the exact same spot where they were.
I'm sure it'll save a lot of money if the configuration is still the same on their footprint.
Well, and if I remember correctly, I think they renovated the place not too terribly far before they closed it.
Wow, so they're good to go.
Yeah. So, and I remember going in there I'm a foodie, and I'm better at eating food than I am at making it, but I do like to make it. And I remember going in there a few times, and it was a fun store. But hey, just to the west, a couple doors to the west from this Sur La Table, which will reopen this spring, there's a nice men's clothing store. It's called J.H. & Sons Clothier. It is out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. They may be related to another men's store that, like Halberstadt's or something like that. I'm not 100% certain about that, but I think they might be related. And they have a handful of locations. This J.H. & Sons Clothier, from what I can tell, is just located in the downtown area up there in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Looks like a nice men's clothing store. They're going into, ironically enough, what used to be Joseph A. Bank.
Oh, excellent.
So there you have it. Shadow Lake Town Center and One Pacific Place showing some good signs of that retail comeback.
Bricks and mortar.
Let's talk restaurants. Everyone loves it when we talk about restaurants. Hurry Bird has replaced Bob's Donuts at 38th and Farnham in the Blackstone District. It's the same ownership as Early Bird.
Okay, I was going to say.
Yeah, Bob Donuts was owned by the same people that had Early Bird. They changed the concept now to Hurry Bird. It's connected to Early Bird. But Hurry Bird basically is that breakfast brunch to go concept. Just like Early Bird, they're open 6:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m., but you can go and get Early Bird type food to go there. And I popped my head in there this week. Nice looking place. I think it'll do well. And then on the quick serve restaurant front, Qdoba is planning to build a new restaurant near 189th and Maple. There are a couple things already there. There's a Holiday Inn, there's a Scooters, there's Proof, which is a really cool place to get bourbons. It's just west of where the future Fleet Farm is going to go.
That'll be huge.
So that whole area is really retail upgrading there, if you will.
It's taken a while, but it'll definitely do well.
Yeah, I would agree with that. A little bit of bad restaurant news. Tired Texan is closing on May 8th. That's Mother's Day. That'll be their last day.
108th and L Street.
I like that place. That was
It was good. Porky Butts really has done so well. It probably had an effect on him as well.
Yeah, Porky Butts rocks. But I would say Porky Butts is one of my favorite barbecues in town, but Tired Texan was right up there. So they will be missed, and we wish the best of them. They had some setbacks, like they had a fire that closed for a while, and of course, last couple of years have been tough in the restaurant business. Hey, how cool is this? We had 2 baby elephants born at the Henry Doorly Zoo earlier this year. There's a third one coming in about a year.
Yeah, what's going on over there? There's must be playing some mood music over there.
There are some amorous elephants in Omaha. But like the 2 that were born already at Henry Doorly, the zoo director said they will likely be the only 2 elephants born in the United States this year. And so now we have another one. So Omaha's like elephant town. I mean, they're already with these 2 babies. I think there are about 8 of them, if I remember correctly. So if you want to come see elephants in the United States of America, like as a family, you got to come here. And then they're pretty darn cute, you got to admit. So kudos to the zoo. Keep those elephants coming.
Absolutely.
Whatever you're doing, keep it up, because it seems to be repopulating.
The giraffes are getting jealous.
The giraffes are getting... Well, maybe the giraffes need to kind of step up to the plate. That's all I'm saying.
Stick their neck out.
Well, Trenton, it's been a great week, and I appreciate everyone spending time with you and me. I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. So, I'm Jeff Beals.
And I'm Trenton Maggot.
You've been listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by NAI NP Dodge, D&M Roofing, and Turner Construction. We'll chat with you next week at 9 o'clock right here on News Radio 1110 KFAV. If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.